So about 10 years ago, a book came out that I loved. It was called The Millionaire Next Door. It was written by a guy named Tom Stanley. If you haven't read it, pick it up. It's a fascinating read. Tonight, we have a guest that, I swear, it's like he was right from the pages of that book. So tonight, you're going to meet a self-made person who's built a company from a welder and a pickup truck. But before I introduce you to tonight's guest, I do want to share with you, here's the latest going on here at Hiller Measurements.
So check this out, we're here at Premier Technology. An amazing family owns and operates this building right here. They house 400 employees. It's an amazing manufacturing facility. They're in the food industry, they're in the nuclear industry, the government, all of it. They do big things here. And one of the most important things in their world, they're all about automation, they're all about technology. And with that technology, they still employ 400 employees right here in this small town. And I'm excited to be here, all right? So let's go check this place out.
Before we started this company, we were professional hunters and outfitters, and you can't make a living doing that year round. So in the off season, I'd do some welding, and it occurred to me that there was room for a business that was operated differently, and that was the foundation of the company, and that was back in 1996. We had a couple guys, a welder and a pickup, and right now we're almost 400 employees. We use the most modern equipment and techniques, and so my wife is the CEO and CFO, and it truly is a woman-run and woman-owned business. The majority of our family works here with us. If you're going to be successful in this industry, it's competitive and it's tough. You're going to have to be on the cutting edge, and the key to training your employees is an academy, just like Titan's put together. The fastest way you can get them trained and get them productive is by using that academy.
And we're back. Doug Sayer. Doug Sayer has built Premier Technology. It's a metal fabrication company, big, from a pickup truck and a welder to a large-scale operation today with over 300 employees in under 20 years from Blackfoot, Idaho. And tonight, we're all blessed to hear Doug tell the story about how he did it. Doug, welcome to AE Squared.
Thanks.
It's good to have you. It's good to have you. So Doug, let's go back before Premier. I want to hear the truck and the welder story. Actually, before you had the welder. Tell me a little bit about how you grew up and ended up with a truck and a welder.
Well, it's a long story, but it's an interesting one. You know, I grew up in Wisconsin and spent a lot of time outdoors and enjoyed doing everything outdoors, hunting and fishing and recreating. So my grandparents had a ranch in Idaho, and I had the opportunity to go out and spend the time with my grandparents, helping them on the ranch. And I guess some measure of what my parents thought of me, they sent me out there on my motorcycle when I was 17.
No kidding. Boy, that was a different time.
$50, no cell phone, and just headed all the way out to Idaho. So when I was in Idaho, I actually met a young lady, and she turned out to be my wife, and we've been married 37 years.
Congratulations.
So she's an important part of the business. Right now, she's the CEO and the CFO.
Yep.
And I guess that's part of the important part of the story is, you know, we got married right out of high school and took a job in the food processing industry. Started out as a laborer, sweeping floors, and worked my way up through the maintenance programs. And that's where I learned how to weld, was in the maintenance department. So did that for 10 or 12 years, but I hated it. It drove me crazy.
So you're fixing like food chutes and conveyors, things of that sort.
Yeah, and it was, you know, as a way to provide for our family, but that whole wanting to be outside and doing that kind of thing. So that's when we started our first company. It was an outfitting business where we took people on hunts and did, you know, trail rides and that. And so I was happy. I was in the outdoors and I was excited to be doing it, but that's a poor way to make a living.
So was that, you just wanted to be outdoors, or was the entrepreneurial bug in you from right then? Was it also, well, let's ask you a different way. Are you a very good employee?
No.
No, okay.
fact, I tell the guys that work for me, I had to start my own business because I'd get fired for showing up late if I worked for somebody else.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
So you know what, that was the time for me, and I thought if you could take something that you loved and be an entrepreneur and own your own business, that would be ideal. So that was a target for me. But when we were doing that, I realized that you can't provide for your family because that's not year-round steady work.
Right.
You're not carrying a lunchbox and punching a clock. It's pretty tough. So in the off season, I do work for different companies, much like our company today, just as a contract employee, and was just doing some welding.
Right.
So, that's when I realized that, participating in those other companies, that there was room in the marketplace for a company that did things different.
Different. So, welding, what did you see different that you could be doing at that point? What was different? I'm curious.
Well, it's not the processes,
Yeah.
but it was the relationship that you had with your customers, the relationship you had with your employees,
Right.
those kind of things.
Right.
So, I had a mentor that I'd met on a hunting trip. He's actually from Texas. He's from Waco. And, he coached me along that whole week that we were together. Because they were self-made guys. And I was trying to figure out, what makes them different? How come they were so successful, he and his friends?
Right.
And so we'd sit around the fire and I'd ask him questions. And at the end of the trip, he said, I could write you $1 million check, or you could come down to my ranch and I'll teach you how to make them over and over again. So I borrowed $800 from my mom, and we flew our family down there and spent Thanksgiving on his ranch. And he's the one that kind of spurred me and
Right.
coached me
Right.
on how to do it. And so,
Can you share with our audience the cliff notes of what you learned at the ranch?
I might be able to. So, that was one of the things that you have to have is a burning desire.
Right.
And I clearly did. We start out and you take a piece of paper and you draw a line down the middle and you write down on the left-hand side all those things that you're willing to give up to have a successful business.
Right.
On the right hand, those things that you're not willing to give up. And he handed me the notebook and he said, "Now write them down." Well, it's easy for me and it was quick. On the left-hand side, everything.
Everything.
I was willing to, everything. What I wasn't willing to give up was my family.
Your family.
So.